Everybody, this is Principal Anderson, Michelle Clark. This is the last week of Black History Month. Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Happy Black History Month.
But you know, we black 365 days a year.
Yes,
So,
we are.
but today I got some great people here. We're going to talk a little bit about ending out Black history and sharing some thoughts, sharing some ideas. But let's go this way, and you could introduce yourself and say what you do here at Michelle Clark.
Hi, I'm Mr. Alex Butler. I teach sophomore English.
Hey, I'm Counselor Morris. Been here for a long time. I do a lot of stuff.
All right, we'll move over. We'll get you later on that.
I'm Miss Hickman, new to the team. I'm a sped teacher.
So welcome, you guys. We just want to talk a little bit about, you know, one of the things that, as I was talking to some of our freshmen, I saw some things that they hadn't learned yet about Black history or about history. And so I was always kind of astounded by some of that. But I wanted to just kind of talk to you guys about a few things. And my first question, and we can do a popcorn style, or if you have a thought on it, jump out there. But when did you first learn about racism, and when did you first live with racism? Because I think when you learn about it, it's different than when you actually experience it.
I agree.
And maybe not with anything necessarily specific, but when did you maybe learn about it, like maybe what grade or whatever, and then when you experienced it, that you were able to say, oh my God, that was racist. That's what I read about, you know, because sometimes I think we don't always know that's what it was called, that I just experienced.
Mm-hmm. So I know because I'm biracial, my mother was white, father black. As a kid, we used to go over our aunt's house, who was on my white side. And I never really knew, like she kind of was biased towards us because we were half black. But I never really knew it because our mom kind of shielded us from it. So until I got older, then I was like, oh, okay, that's why it was always a different type of vibe when we went around.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really weird because of me being biracial. I used to always be like, I never really experienced it per se, like right in my face, until a few years ago, and it was crazy. Like I would hang out with the fraternity, the Qs, the Omegas, and we would always go on these ski trips every year to Wisconsin, to not Wisconsin Dells, but where's that other place?
I don't know where y'all went. I wasn't privy to go.
Geneva, Lake Geneva.
Just saying.
So we would go to Lake Geneva every year. And it was always cool. I would always go to Lake Geneva this one time, and it was like 5 busloads of black guys and wearing purple and gold. And it was amazing. The disrespect and the racism. Like, I would always be like, I never saw that and never saw it ever. And it was bad. It was literally, we walk in a room and everybody's like
trying to figure out who they were,
yeah,
what
who
they
are y'all,
represented.
and why are y'all here, and the audacity.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really bad. So because of that, they don't even go there no more.
Yeah. Anybody else want to?
I could, if my memory served me correctly, I believe I started learning about racism in like 3rd grade, like history class or whatnot. But I really didn't experience racism until probably like my freshman year of college. And, you know, being down in Champaign, where it's predominantly like white, you know, had a lot of events, went to a lot of events, attended a lot of things. And, you know, was called a name. And that's when I realized, like, wow.
Ugly?
No,
I know what name you called. Don't say it. I know it. I know.
And, you know, that was my first time really experiencing it. And I had a chance to talk about it in like a class or whatnot. And, you know, speaking about it made me felt good, but like it didn't really like heal me or whatnot. But it just made like the history of like what I've been taught more of a reality, right?
So did you feel like hearing that word made it feel like there was someone who like hated you, or like there was anger in their voice for it, or? Because I think sometimes when we think of racism, we think that it's because somebody hates my race or somebody hates what I represent, right?
I won't say that. I think it was an opportunity for that person to say that because they probably was taught that. But in terms of how it was said, it didn't feel like it came from an angry place. It was just an opportunity for them to say that.
Okay. Okay.
So are you taking it like it was a just? Like they were poking fun at you?
Yeah, yeah, and
So it was like they went across the line.
yeah,
They crossed the line.
they definitely crossed the line, and how I responded was like, it is what it is, because I didn't want to put myself in a position, and because I know how I could react, right, and then now I put myself in a position of not further my education and based off of my upbringing, like this is how you're supposed to respond to that if it happens. But I'm just like, you know what, it is what it is.
But there really isn't a book to say how we're supposed to respond when racism hits us, right?
Nah.
Well,
I mean, well, I shouldn't say book, but no protocol. Like, if somebody does racism to you, this is how you act. I mean, we all have our different responses to it.
Yeah. And I think that some people expect you to act a certain way. But I think nowadays, I think maybe back then, if you was called the N-word, you were ready to fight. Now it's so many people that just be like, now that they have those Karens and, you're on video, you see a lot of black people that are just like, wow, you're ignorant, or, they don't respond like they would have back then. And I think that, I don't know if that gives them more energy to keep going, or if that's what they're expecting you to act like.
I think that with racism too, you're always like, do you really believe that, like, I'm an animal, or do you really? I don't know. I'm always curious, like really, what do you really believe? If like, because racism to me is okay. So maybe they were doing that in jest out of ignorance, but I think there are things that we've been closed out of. Like we're full to capacity, and you're like, what are all those other seats doing in there? Things like that you're like, do you not see that I can bring some value to this as well? Like, sometimes your value is diminished because people don't believe you could represent or belong at the table. Maybe
I think racism is taught.
Very much so.
I think that, when you are brought up in a world or a family or an environment where they're always talking about, black people and in a negative way, then that's just, it's kind of like the way of thinking. You may get somebody who you could be like, why do you even hate black people? And they won't even be able to answer that. It's just what they were taught.
You don't even realize how much you pick up from your parents or people who just influence you on a daily basis, your teachers. Like, the fact that my students were able to, like, walk me through my entire laugh pattern one day, I didn't even think they would be able to do that. It's the same for racism. Like, you're picking up on the entire thought process that your mom put down, or your father put down, or your grandmother. It don't matter who. And you're just putting it out into the world.
And I think that some people, because they were around that and brought up in that, and they're like, oh, well, my dad was racist, but that's not me. And then they say that one thing, I have black friends. And it's like, why did you feel the need to say I have black friends? I mean, it's always...
It's trying to give you some street cred, some
I've
credibility.
even had my family on my side say something that they didn't really think that was offensive, and they're like, well, no, but it is. It's like, you don't even know that that was just a racist comment.
Yeah. And I think the thing about, like, racist comments is it hits us all differently. And it hits us differently depending on where we are or where we are in our own self. Because some things somebody could say it and we're in a different space, and we'd be like, that won't bring me down. I'm going to, And then I think there's times that somebody can say it, or sometimes it could be the person that we know that says it that could, like, feel like somebody just put a dagger in our heart. Or that we've been limited to things. I know growing up on the West Side, there was always this unheard of boundary. Like, nobody ever said it, but, like, we knew we couldn't go past certain streets. Like, we never went east of Western. I don't know why. I don't know what was on the other side of that. We just never went, right? And so it was this whole area that you just didn't go in because you were afraid, or because we have been told so many things about that area. And then when you go over there, you're like, wait, this is what I missed? I mean, I remember saying that as an adult, going into certain areas going, oh, I thought it was something over here that I just really didn't know. And some of that is because we create stories that block people. Even in learning, we create stories that block our students from learning because of our own biases. And, so I guess sometimes I struggle with bias versus racism, because some of it could be just bias. I don't like whatever. But some of it is that I have racism that I don't want that person to succeed or be better than me or to be around me or be allowed certain things. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like their bias is racist then. If you
Tell me more.
I'm like, if you saying I don't like.
And I did that because I wanted to hear
Yeah,
that.
I'm just saying. I'm like, if you saying you don't like, and I happen to be on the other end of you don't like because of my skin tone, then I'm happy to tell you, baby, disrespectfully, you're racist. And go sit in your corner in your box. That's how I'm gonna put it.
So you put the two together?
Not 100% of the time, but when it does, check one of the boxes of for my skin tone, for my hair texture, for my features, anything that makes me a part of my blackness, then yes, 100%. Like a regular bias might be like, I have a bias towards orange. Like that makes sense as a bias. Like it's my favorite. I like or appreciate it. But when it has something to do with like the way I was born, then
that you had no control over.
Exactly.
Okay, I can go with that. So let's talk about then color blindness. Like you do, at one point that was like the word of the buzzword. I'm colorblind. I don't see color. I don't see race. What are your thoughts?
That's not true.
It's not true at all.
How? I mean,
again, like I said, you may say you don't see race, but it's going to be one time that you're going to bring up something because it's the color of my skin.
Okay.
It's going to be something that
and
you
maybe
say.
maybe not maliciously.
Not maliciously.
Right.
But,
It's still going to hurt my feelings. It's still going to be
Yeah, you'll still
microaggressive.
It would still have the same microaggression.
and then
I
you
was
may
gonna talk
have
about
somebody
that.
say, but I'm not racist.
Right, but it doesn't change the impact of what you
Right.
said
What
or
you
did or
said,
looked.
yeah,
Because sometimes it's
which
just a
means
look,
you-
right?
Which means you said something because of my skin tone, which tells me that you have there's some type of division there. That you're white, you're black, And then with me, I've always had it the worst. I've always had it the worst, I felt, because I'm biracial and light skinned. And I got it the worst from white folks thought I was too not white enough. Black folks thought I was not black enough.
Yeah.
So I got it doubly.
I could see that.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
It wasn't. It's not what we're talking about right now, but it was something. I watched the State of the Union address, and I forget the politician name who had. They kicked him out for the second time, right? And he had a poster that said that black people aren't apes. Like that triggered me last night.
That black people aren't apes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like this the second time that he done some to kind of like opposed to what the Republicans was talking about, and it's the second time that they kicked him out. So that made me feel some type of way about him sticking up for like minorities or whatnot. And I felt like it could be other people in there that's kind of like that can be on that same thing. But he's the only one that always stands out and speak his truth because he's not afraid of the Republican power that exists in.
So I always wonder about that because earlier in one of the podcasts we talked about like Rosa Parks, and we said Rosa Parks is known for helping with the boycott, but there were other Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks. They just didn't get the fame or they didn't get the notoriety. But all those things happen to him, so it takes like one to keep doing it, then others be like, oh, okay, I'll do it, or maybe others to say, this is it. We're making this happen now. And so I think about even with that, and even when we talk about racism, even when we talk about Black History, sometimes it's interesting when we talk about Black History Month because you're like, I want to say the right thing. I want to do the right. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to, I don't want to be too
palatable.
black.
Yes, so palatable. Even talking about that today with my kids, explaining to them like that Rosa Parks' whole thing was like it was set up. It had to be pre-rehearsed. It had to be said because of the way she looked. Like she was the perfect person to put out there. Like even thinking about Dr. Martin Luther King and the people behind him, he was the perfect person to be the face. And like, why do we still have to be so palatable? Like, you can't just ingest me the way that I am, the way that I came into this world. I like the stereotyping and the biases and everything that you're throwing on top that didn't have to exist.
Yeah, I think that's part of like I judge you before I really know you.
Exactly.
And then I make statements in my head, and because I make those statements in my head, that's how I treat you.
Yeah.
Which then goes to my bias, but then it could also be part of like racism because of things that I've heard at home or things that I grew up learning about black people or minorities or, you know, things like that.
Well, you know, and it goes back to, I remember a friend of mine, and so I'm not from Chicago. I'm from Michigan originally.
I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you were asking for sympathy.
No. But see, I can play outside without having to worry about getting shot. I'm just saying.
I thought you were asking for sympathy, so I didn't know. Okay.
So I'm from the country. So where I went to school at, it was a diverse school. So I went to school with a lot of white people. So of course, you know, when you have Facebook, you have a lot of people that you went to school with. So me and my best friend, it was weird that we were talking, and when Trump first started coming around and doing all of that stuff, and everybody thought that it was okay to voice their opinion about Trump, it was a lot of people that you would have never thought that you went to school with that racism came out on Facebook, that you saw it, and then it was like, wow. You know, I didn't even.
Did you feel like this when you were in high school too?
You know, yeah.
But wouldn't you feel better? Like for me, I feel better knowing who you are versus you pretending to be somebody different because it changes.
Absolutely.
You know.
Wish we would have knew that back then.
But it might have been that that's something that they grew into.
Could have been.
Just from just information. Because that's the other thing with society now. We get so much information which change who we are or who we want to be or who we should be, that sometimes we find ourselves not liking something because, you know.
You were influenced by media and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
Now you out here buying millions of things because it popped up.
Now you on the mega bus.
Yeah. Right. You know, things like that. So I appreciate you guys meeting with us. But if you had to say, like, drop a pearl of wisdom or drop something as Black History Month ends, what would that be? We'll start with you, Mr. Butler.
Why you do that?
Okay, then we'll start with Ms. Hickman.
You know.
Because, you know, she always ready.
Yeah. Yes. So, you know, not sure if it's dropping a pearl of wisdom, but I've always wanted to drop knowledge on our students. Like you said earlier, it was really crazy because I asked a class of ours yesterday, our third period. I said, I give anybody some money in this classroom if you could tell me in the next 5 seconds, because I don't want you to look it up, who Carter G. Woodson was. And nobody knew. They didn't know who Harold Washington was. You know, they didn't know who Michelle Clark was. You know, and I'm just like,
as in Michelle with one L.
One L, yes. I just, you know, as my first passion of history, I want to be able to educate our students on their Black history so that they know how important Black history is, and it's not just a month,
right? You
know, or that we do activities. You need to know where you came from. That somebody in your family, way down, there was somebody that survived the Middle Passage for you to be here.
Yeah,
along somebody. This is why you're here. So you need to know where you came from and the people that paved the way for that is very important.
Yep. Mr. Butler.
All right. So my grandma came up in my mind. She would always tell me, study to show yourself approved, a workman. Not to get too biblical for that. I ain't going to finish the scripture for y'all.
Oh, because I was going to say, what scripture is that?
2 Timothy 2:15.
Yeah,
okay.
2:15.
Amen.
Okay.
But anyhow, so that means do your own research. Go out there and search for what you are looking for. Most of the time, we are instructing you on or giving you bits and pieces, but you have to want it. You have to need that knowledge. Go search for the apple. Look for the apple. get into the apple, dig into the apple. Not everything can be given to you. You have to fight for your own, your freedom, your blackness, fight for your reality. I know a lot of things you get from media, but you also have to see through propaganda in different lines. If you don't, then your brain's already taken.
Yeah, wow. Powerful. Because, you know, as you were saying that, I was thinking, too, as families, we have to go back and keep teaching, you know, within our families. I talked to some fellas, and I was like, who's the oldest person in your family living? They were like, my great-grandmama. When was the last time you talked to her to find out, like, what her life was? Yeah. So that was powerful. Mr. Morris.
Oh, man. The word of wisdom that I give is anything worth having is going to cost you. And also, you can't get to where you're trying to get to if you don't know your history. So when I did this, you spoke right to my point, and you also spoke to my point, too. So take time for yourself. Understand who you are as a person. Don't look for other people to give you handouts.
Or define you.
And, you know, just really know your history, because it's going to definitely, you know, navigate you to where you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
And as we end Black History Month, but not in being black, we continue to move forth and we continue to be better. So thank you guys so much for being
here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. I feel famous. I do.